Hello, and welcome back. First, I'd like to apologize for not uploading videos as much as I thought I was going to, but I got really busy with a whole load of stuff IRL and only really had time to stream. So I'm bringing some videos now to the channel. I think this could be useful, and if it is, and if people like it, then I'll continue on making a whole load of these videos, going through all different comps for Arms Warriors. Today is going to be TSG. I'm going to be going through one game and kind of showing what TSG is, what's good about it, what's potentially negative about it, what you're looking to do in a scenario. This one is against Windwalker Shadow Priest, which you don't see that much because it's not that strong. But generally, what we'll be looking at is the setup, what we're looking to do with our CC, our positioning, our kill targets, and I'll kind of talk about TSG in a wider form throughout the video. I might bring some more in-depth TSG later on in other videos. I'll also be bringing you some Turbo. I've got Turbo. I've played some WMD, WMP, which is Warrior Mage Paladin, Warrior Mage Druid. I played some Thunder. I can play some KFC because I recently transferred over to Alliance to play with some people who have a whole load of vaults, so I can really just go through and get some videos like this and then kind of explain them. Now, a lot of these aren't going to be at a really high MMR because like we just play a lot of games and not everyone's as great as they should be at certain well, not as great as they should be, more more like as great as they could be if they were just playing one class. Now, what I hope to do with like this series of videos, especially, is to kind of give some knowledge from my experience of playing in arenas, just basic stuff with comps, and how Arms Warriors is supposed to play it, or just generally how you're supposed to play an arena. Because I find the biggest gap there is in WoW PvP and why it isn't that populated or necessarily that competitive is you have these players who are the rank 1 players who are really good, who have been playing for the longest time, or have been playing for the longest time even on just one character, and they know everything inside out. They have excellent muscle memory. So, and what Blizzard doesn't provide is a system of learning the PvP. Like you learn your damage rotation, and that's essentially like it. They don't tell you about CC and like good comps that go well with your classes. Don't have a way of really queuing properly to get those things without seeing an LG for a very long time. So hopefully this video will give you a bit of knowledge if you want to play TSG, give you a bit of knowledge if you want to play against TSG, and then in the future I'll be bringing some more videos to bring in some other comps and also maybe go into some RBGs, maybe go into some 2s arenas, but I really hate 2s, and just some other stuff. So I think I've probably been blabbing enough, so we'll get straight into this now. Now, this is I think my first game after coming from Horde, so it's going to be a bit of a crazy one because I don't have colors or anything set. My health bars are a little bit small. Now here I come up, and what we're going to try and do is get some pressure out right away, because TSG is kind of all about keeping pressure on and using your setups, which is based around grip. Now, against most teams, if there's kind of like 3 different teams that you're going to be playing against. You're going to be playing against 2 casters, or you're going to be playing against 2 melee, or you're going to be playing against a caster and a melee, or say a ranged and melee. Now, what you do here is, if you have 1 caster and a melee or 2 melee, you run Shockwave. And you're trying to get as many triple Shockwaves as you can because it resets the cooldown. And that's where you're going to be putting in all your pressure. Because the DPS is CC'd and so is the healer. So the DPS can't pop defensive cooldowns unless it's one that they can use in a stun, and the healer can't heal him or pop cooldowns on him. So you might get their trinket, or if they're running Relentlessness, for example, this Shaman is, he's going to be sitting all a lot the CC just at a reduced rate. Now, because we know that, in the actual game chat, I said, oh, he's running Relent, so I'm going to fear him at the start, and we can create a CC chain and put in some pressure. And maybe get like Dispersion. So that's what you want to be doing. So every time you have grip, you want to have Shockwave up, and you want to say, okay, you say, do you have grip? He says, I've got grip, I'm going to grip now. You grip, you Shockwave, and that's when you want to be using your cooldowns. And you want to get more of their cooldowns than what you've used at your cooldowns. That's basically it. And eventually you'll win. And this comp is quite good because, especially, I suppose there's two different ways you can play the comp, but we'll get back to that later after I've run through this a bit more. Okay, so as I said, I'm running in. I haven't dismounted because I don't want to waste any closes. I go for the fear, but here you can tell that we've only just started playing with each other because I went for the fear and he went for the grip at the same time because the positioning of the shaman was really good for a grip. And also, and then we could have got his stun from Remorseless and got some more stuff. So he was on one track, I was on another. And that happens with teams, and sometimes you just need to get past that, because we do get past that and we do win this game. So, but the issue here is, if you fear somebody, and he grips before the fear is ended, it counts as them being rooted, so he will not be gripped in. But the issue is, with the fear grip, there's going to be a period of time where he's not in CC because you can't grip the end of the fear like you used to be able to. So now that we know, so we don't have the grip anymore, so we can't really get a Shockwave CC unless the shaman walks in. So we continue here. He's breathing, he's bursting. I'm kind of saving it. We get a stun onto the SP, and then we just start rolling out a burst. I pop mine, and we kind of go in there. We get Dispersion. Excellent. We kind of messed up a little bit, but we managed to get the Dispersion. A lot of pressure. We got Ascendance out of the shaman. We're doing pretty well. Keep on this the SP really creating pressure. Now, what you need to make sure that you're doing against Shadow Priest, especially when you're going the Shadow Priest, is to be kicking the Vampiric Touches, because he gets a lot of healing, he gets a lot of his tankiness based from that. So if you keep them off, so if your healer's dispelling them, and we keep kicking them, or I can reflect them if they're coming on me, it's really important to keep that up. Now, so the issue here is he grips in, but the way that it's shaped up is not for a good setup. He grips the shaman in as I'm earth grabbed, and the Shadow Priest on the other side. There's no way I can set up the stun, and I get impatient myself because I hadn't done a stun setup yet, and I kind of feel like I'm wasting cooldowns when I'm holding them. Say if I didn't shockwave and I wait 40 seconds before shockwaving, I might as well have just wasted it nowhere and it didn't matter. It's a waste of a cooldown if I haven't used it. But then again, you don't want to waste it doing it at stupid times, like just always getting one. You want to get those 3 or at least a 2 with the shockwave, especially because it's a lower cooldown than Stormbolt. Because if you're just constantly missing them, you might as well just be playing Stormbolt. And we just continue on this the Shadow Priest, and now what we have to do is we've got to work to get our bursts and our cooldowns kind of synced back up. And we get Spirit Link here just from DPS pressure, because as you can see with the recount, we're doing a pretty reasonable amount of damage. Now, if we had gotten those 2 CC chains back to back, really good stuff, we probably would have killed these guys in the second setup. But now they're managing to peel us with CC. We get another grip. We get a grip in here, which is good, but we didn't communicate properly, and I didn't tell him that I had only 2 seconds left on my my shockwave. Because if I'd say no, don't grip yet, because if he'd said, okay, I have grip up now, hey, do you want me to grip? And I say wait 2 seconds, then we could have got a grip shockwave. Would have been 2. Would have been loads more pressure. We probably would have won there, but we didn't do that. And as I said, this is the first game with this new team, so we got to really like shake it off, get into it. So we just keep on the pressure. We got Link. We've had the Ascendance. We had the Disperse, but Disperse will be coming up again soon. Now I leap to the Shaman to create some pressure, and I kick him there, but it's kind of a waste because it doesn't really do anything, and I didn't have reflection up, so I couldn't reflect the hex. It kind of looks like we're like losing it at this point because we're just not really syncing anything up. But here, I have my shockwave, call out for a grip, check if he's got his grip. He in that situation he tells me, actually I don't have my grip. 10 seconds. So I say, okay, I can fear. I've let him know that he's feared, so he doesn't grip on the fear again. And I slowly start to make my way over. Ideally, I would have gone for the fear with the heroic leap and charged back in to keep up time, but my heroic leap's down and my charge is also down, so I kind of just had to waddle to create some pressure. But what I also know is that I have my sharpened blade still up. So essentially, like, the full CC chain ends up being, so you open up with a fear, you grip in, you shockwave, and then you get the sharpened blade on your kill target once the guy's out of stuns. Say if you get a DK restun, and then you get your sharpened blade up, that's where you get the most effectiveness out of your CC, and it creates the most pressure. And you're more likely to get a lot of healing cooldowns as well as defensive cooldowns, allowing you to create more pressure in your second setup and probably killing your third. Because your third setup is going to be when your offensive cooldowns are coming back up again. Because you'll be stunning like every 30 to 40 seconds, and then you'll have Battlecry up in a minute, and you have Avatar up in a minute and a half. So we continue on here. The fear comes off. I'm just waiting for the grip. He calls the grip, and here we get a triple shockwave. This is excellent. All of them are CC'd. I've got my wall breaker. I have my Avatar. I have my Battlecry and my Bladestorm all up. This is where I can create some really good spread pressure. It's going to make it really difficult for this Shaman to get back into the game in terms of healing. Now here I'm running a build that is kind of, we knew there wasn't going to be too much pressure that we would have to deal with. We're kind of playing at a lower MMR than we're all used to playing. So I'm playing Pain Train, which is buffing the DK's damage and also reducing the cooldown Battlecry. What most of the time you'll be playing is going to be playing Duel and Disarm unless they're kind of not worth playing. So for example, Disarm here isn't that great. It doesn't actually do that much to a Windwalker. So you can play Ranged Execute, which I don't think I'm doing. I think I'm playing the other talent, which is I can't quite remember. It's the one that gives you a execute at 25% rather than 20%, which probably isn't very good for this comp at all. I got used to playing it when I was playing a lot of Turbo, and that was pre the offensive nerfs and stamina buffs, where that actual 5% would make a huge difference because you'd be hitting executes on people for over 1 million, and you'd be getting people. You could kill somebody in a Stormbolt with Relent, but that's another kettle of fish. There's a video on it where I blow some people up as well on my channel if you want to take a look. Now here we get the triple shockwave, which is excellent. Pop the Wall Breaker, getting a Colossus Smash on everyone, and popping the Bladestorm with Recklessness and Avatar. Well, Battlecry and Avatar. And then we get the dispersion out of the Shadow Priest. We go and chase that Shaman, but we're getting peeled off quite massively, so we don't bother dropping down. We swap right back onto the Priest to get some more pressure. I get charmed off here, but it's not a big deal because I can heroic leap back up. The Shaman jumps off, so we create even more pressure on the Shadow Priest. They're doing really a good job of healing. When there, we get another. Well, it's a double this time, but it was so close to being a triple, but it's on the players that we want it to be on. We can really get some even more pressure out here. Shadow Priest dropping really low. He's having to use his fear defensively, so they're not getting any real CC on our healer at all, allowing him to just free cast into us and also get Cyclones off if he wants to. Now we just keep on the pressure on the Shadow Priest. We're just waiting for our next our CC chain to go up, and we just drop him. Healer even can push in and get a bash into a clone to confirm the kill, which is really good, which you can do when you're playing with a Druid, and when you're playing with a Monk, which is another good healer for TSG. He can sap leg sweep their healer, but you've got to watch about DRs on fears and stuns if you're running a lot of if you're getting a lot of those good setups, you don't want to be wasting your leg sweep on a DI'd stun when he could be using it to peel himself if it's a team that's going to go him a lot. Now, so we get the kill, it's excellent, but there was a lot of stuff that we did wrong, but there's also a lot of stuff that we did really well. And you can win a game, especially at lower MMRs, with making those types of mistakes. And those mistakes are sort of weeded out once you play with a group of people a lot, or you just get used to playing the comp itself, and it kind of like it gets more muscle memory instead of making decisions. You're like, okay, this is up. I know this guy's going to do this, and you get it on. But it's really important to know what makes the comp good and what you should be doing in situations. Now, I mentioned before that there's other ways that you can play TSG. So right now, I'm playing TSG with Frost, which is a lot of cleave damage, where you get the setups on grips and shockwaves. You get a huge amount of AoE damage to spread pressure on everyone and put the healer massively behind. In addition, it also is really good into dampening because of the sharpened blade. If you're playing at high MMRs, most games are going to go into dampening because everyone's playing really, really well, and it's reasonably easy to heal with the blanket damage nerfs unless you're playing against like ret marksmanship. But then you'll be playing Duel and Disarm to peel that most of the time. But you can play with Unholy as well, which kind of changes up how you play it. So you'd be playing a Stormbolt there. You can play it this way. You can still play the grip Shockwave. It's still doable. You can do it that way. But what frequently happens is you play Stormbolt and you play Asphyxiate, and one of you stuns the DPS and one of you stuns the healer, and that's when you go. You go, boom, 2 stuns, so one can't pop defenses, one can't heal. Boom, loads of damage, and you just keep doing that every single time. You've got to make sure they're on. Boom, every time. And then that's essentially how you play TSG with Unholy. Now, if you're playing TSG with a Frost, and you go up against a Frost Mage, you play double charge, and you make sure that you are matching every time the Frost Mage blinks is a charge. If you charge before that, you're going to get left behind. And it's really important that you have that uptime against the Frost Mage, or he's just going to poly you off, he's going to poly your DK won't be able to stick to targets, they're going to get pressure on your healer, they're going to get pressure on you, it's just you can't let them dominate the game. Against teams like Turbo and Double Melees, you want to be running the Shockwave. It's going to be easier to get the triples, especially when he's got his elementals up, but that's your peeling can be a Shockwave, but also your setups are as well. And you have a lot of utility towards it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else massively important that I've missed so far for playing TSG. I guess if you're playing against a ret team and you're losing a lot against ret teams, don't worry too much. They are a pretty massive counter to TSG, but you mainly just go the ret, you control his damage, you put the pressure through, you keep doing your setups and your setups and your setups, and you should be able to get somewhere, especially if you're doing really well with the damage rotation. All I can really say is practice as much as you can. If you have any other questions, ask me on Twitter or come to my stream, which is normally at 12 England time, 12 a.m. I normally go from 3 to 6 hours. I also have a Discord, which I'll link in the description and all that type of stuff. So ask me questions whenever you want. I can even set up that I look through some replays, let you know what I see you're doing, see if you're making any mistakes, and kind of help you out with that type of stuff as long as I'm not too busy. So I'm going to try and get out a video every day about some WoW stuff, talking about basics of arena, comp, like what makes a good comp, what makes a bad comp, the CC setups for certain teams, how to play against certain things. Mainly just a lot of stuff about Arms Warrior and also generally Arena. I also play a lot of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, so I'm going to try and just get out some tips and tricks of that. I'm not the best at it, but I have learned a lot and I've gotten a lot better, and I think there's some things that will help people out on that. and also I stream every night. Um, hopefully I will see you guys around there, and peace. Hello there, and thanks for watching my video. Make sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and like if you liked it, dislike if you don't. Please comment to let me know what you want to see in the future, and make sure to come tune in and watch me on Twitch. I'm live from 12 a.m. or 12 midnight GMT for normally about 6 hours, playing a whole bunch of games. Hopefully I'll see you there.